Well, good day everybody. Welcome to the 2024 Mazda 3 Turbo. We have this in the hatchback version. This is also the Premium Plus. Now I'll pop the price up there. It's a little eye-watering, but we'll get into the price and the features because it does sound high at first at $38K, and we'll just talk about why that may not be so bad when you really think of it. Been spending the week in this. This car is generally well regarded in the journalism world, but it also has had its naysayers. Now this is one of 4 videos on this Mazda 3 Turbo. If they're all done, I'll put a link up at the top here. If not, keep an eye out for those. Another caveat that we should point out is that we do own a front wheel drive sedan version of this. So it's not the turbo, it's naturally aspirated. So we have actually really enjoyed the contrast this week, spending a good time in this turbo, because everybody asks the question, should I spring for the turbo? You know, it's not like the non-turbo's a slouch. It's got decent power, but everybody wants to know, it's extra money, it's extra gas, should I get it? So we hope to help you with some of those questions today. Another question people ask is, should I get the hatch? Should I get the sedan? Well, you're either a hatch person or a sedan person. You know, there are some nice little benefits of the hatch. Number one is, though, even though there's not a huge amount of room back here, there is some vertical room to get things in. Now I've taken this cover off just to kind of show you what's going on back here. You got 20 cubic feet. You'll look at another video, you'll see where I put in a suitcase. You know, some things fit in here well, some things don't. But versatility wise, there's a nice low lift over. I do have a spare tire under here. And what makes this nice is I can push these buttons. And if you're a hatchback person, you're going, that's why I want the hatch. This makes it much more versatile for bigger and oddly shaped things. And it's just kind of fun. It's younger, kind of lifestyle, kind of has a younger, cool vibe to it. But the sedan is also a looker and has its place. The other nice thing about the hatch is it's actually a little bit shorter than the sedan. So if you live somewhere where you're parallel parking a lot, you're going to appreciate the slightly shorter overall length of this hatch. I do want to talk about this big old C-pillar. Looks wise, it has grown on me over the years. As we all know, it does create that big blind spot in the back, and I haven't had any real issues with that other than in parking lots. I did have a car completely blocked from my view, but my rear parking sensors went off and told me. Plus, this premium trim has that surround view camera, which is a nice feature. I think one of the nits people have with the turbo is that it looks exactly like the non-turbo. You get the same size wheels, not really a big wide tire. These are 18-inch. They've been using this black multi-spoke wheel for many years. You know, I think some people, you know, like this turbo to look a little different. For 2024, there's only 2 turbo trim levels, whether you're shopping sedan or hatchback. The carbon turbo hatch is fairly well equipped with standard all-wheel drive. You do get that bigger screen, wireless CarPlay, and the wireless charger, and a heated steering wheel, all for $34,115. Now that does include destination. Now the key there is you have to like the single color offered, that zircon sand metallic, and that quite different interior, you know. But if you like it, that's the one to get. You know, for me, that, I don't know, I haven't warmed to that color yet. Now, if you do go top dog premium plus like this one, you know, with the base color 37815, you'll get some extra goodies. You'll get the Bose, which seems to be disappearing across the lineup except for the very top trims. You get the heads-up display. You know, I'm okay with that. You do get turn by turn if you use Apple Maps in the heads-up, so that's nice. The 360 view camera. You do get rear automatic braking, so that's an extra safety feature. You get a rimless rear view mirror. There's adaptive swiveling lights. They're pretty nice once you get used to them on dark roads. You get a rear spoiler, satellite radio, paddle shifters. That's the other thing you get here versus the carbon turbo. And you get their navigation with traffic sign recognition. Oh, and you do get real leather, so you know, it's a lot more, but I do think all the goodies are worth it, again, if it's in your budget. So now you can save yourself $1,200 if you go over to the sedan, but oddly, items like the wireless charger are not available, and the heated steering wheel is not available on the carbon turbo in this sedan. But you will save about 1 mile per gallon. due to the different aerodynamics.
Whatever Mazda you get into, their interiors are top notch. That's no different here. This interior just looks like it rolled. It looks like it's brand new as far as model year. This interior is 6 years old. I think it'll still go down all time as one of the best. Backseat room, like versus a sedan, it's the same, very comfortable back here. The problem is going to be headroom for taller people, and it's going to be a little bit more dark, a little bit more, I don't know if I heard it referred to as cozy back here. Getting in and out is a little bit of a challenge, but again, these aren't family cars. These are more like a single person, a couple. Got to take some people to lunch? Sure, you can cram them back here for short periods of time. Small kids are going to be fine. It's just when you start getting those big rear-facing car seats, that could be a problem. No USBs back here, but we do have a very nice center armrest. And we also have a couple cup holders here. Like all Mazdas, Mazda does not skimp on the back seat. Everything is really nice back here as far as materials. Okay, sitting in the driver's seat of the Mazda 3, we have the steering wheel you'll see in all other Mazdas. The one thing that I've noticed on this one is that this one feels very, very padded compared to some of the other ones. So again, that just adds to that luxury vibe we have going on in here. We have the typical Mazda center gauge cluster. You know, it's been in everything. I like it. It's nice and simple and clean. Again, I want to point out a couple things here. We have a 360 surround camera with steerable grid lines on the rear view, and you can look to the side, and you can even look forward. So that's really nice. Yeah, different views here. This has been active, even though this is a small car, because of that blind spot back there. This is very handy. Again, only on the top trim levels. We do have the 12-speaker Bose, very, very nice. HVAC system is superb as far as how you use it and the buttons. Very sturdy shifter here. You can put it in manual mode over here and drive. Put it over in manual mode, you can shift, but we also have paddle shifters on this turbo trim. Seats are really comfortable. You got lots of adjustments on this driver's seat. This red leather, kind of a brownish leather inlay on this, also looks very, very nice. The big thing for 2024, this screen's a lot bigger, and guess what? I can do this. I don't have any wires. I got touch on my Apple CarPlay and my Android Auto, so big thumbs up there. Again, only on the top trim, only on the turbos do you get all these nice features. So that's nice. I just don't know how much I'd really be touching this. I mean, man, it's a little laggy right there, but I still have this scroll wheel. Not going to get too much into this. It's controversial. Every video I do on a Mazda, I have to say how controversial this is. I like it. I can live with it. I have touched this. I have been guilty. It's just far away. So if they are going to have touch, I would imagine some type of redesign is going to bring that screen forward. However, on the CX-90, that screen's pretty far away too. I will point out, if you have a passenger, that's where this comes in really handy, because you don't want your passenger who doesn't really know this scroll system trying to figure out how to get around Apple CarPlay. They can do your navigation. They can find music for you just by going up here and doing all that. So that's pretty nice. We have adaptive swiveling headlights. We do have adaptive cruise control, and we also have a lane centering, almost like a hands-free down the middle for about 10 seconds. That's also been debuting on some Mazdas, again on this top trim turbo model. Let's go for a drive. I've been pretty surprised by this car this week in some ways. Well, we'll get into it. Let's go drive it. Okay, driving the Mazda 3 Turbo. Okay, so when we bought our two-wheel drive or front-wheel drive non-turbo sedan, it was back, when the turbo had just come out, and the salesman's like, if you drive the turbo, you'll buy the turbo. There's some truth to what he was saying. I'm not sure a test drive would have convinced me to jump to the turbo and spend all that extra cash, but after a week with it, You know, because the thing is, you know, it's quick. It's much quicker, right? So it's not blazing like straight line 0 to 60 crazy fast, even though I measured 6.3 a couple times on regular gas. Well, whatever that was, I don't know at this point what that 0 to 60 was. But the point is, this car is sneaky fast. It gets off the line really quick. And 0 to 40, 0 to 20, it moves. And that's the beauty of how this thing rolls, is just how good and sneaky fast it is. So I kind of knew that. Everybody knows that about the turbo. The second part, though, is what I didn't expect is how well this handles. And you go, well, it's just a Mazda 3. It's the exact same suspension. Mazda was very clear. They did do some changes. They're very subtle. This is still a torsion beam in the rear. It's still got the same size, the basic suspension design as all Mazda 3s, but they've done some wizardry here to really make this sort of the, you know, sort of the showcase car for all of their bells and whistles. I'm just in regular mode now. I'm not going to, and I'm gonna, oh, here we go, here comes a car, but I'm gonna go ahead and let her fly. 60, okay, so I hit 60 before this grade. That means this is pretty good. This thing just off the line just goes. So that's what's been really surprising, is that this is more than just horsepower. It's more than just torque. The third sort of piece of this puzzle that's all coming together and working really well is the all-wheel drive system. So Mazda actually uses this all-wheel drive system in combination with all of that torque to really make this a great handling car. They're measuring load on each of the wheels, they're transferring power, and they've made, you know, the best way to sum up the turbo is that this makes you a very good driver. It actually makes you very confident, and going into turns, there really is no understeer. You can kind of goose the throttle a little bit, and there's just such, you just feel such great rotation coming out of the backside. So that's really been a treat this week. That was something that surprised me, was not the straight line speed, but the fact that you have all this torque in the turns, coming in and out of the turns, in combination with the all-wheel drive system. It's just a real pleasure to drive. Now, while it is truly something how this all-wheel drive and turbo work together to really transform the 3, there is a limit. If you push this too hard, you will see that there is a cliff, and the bones of the base rear, you know, the base 3 rear torsion beam does start to reveal itself. Body roll will come back in a hurry if you push it around some turns. I'm not doing that here, but I did have it out where I was really trying to push it, and I could see where you could lose the back end on this thing. You could get some oversteer in a hurry, you know, but that makes it kind of fun. Now, I will contrast that against our 2020 GLI, where, you know, unlike this car, which is just fun to drive in all conditions and all duties, that one in everyday life was pretty mundane. You really had to push it hard and really drive it aggressively, and when you did that, it was a lot of fun. And over a variety of surfaces is where you could tell that VW chassis was way more buttoned down than this 3 chassis. Overall steering feel is identical to the non-turbo, so no changes there, and overall braking is excellent. As always, we have good braking feel here with this Mazda, with bite right at the top. Now, ride quality, I would have to say this is a smidge better than the non-turbo, but that could just be related to perception, given that this is a little heavier. It does have an overall feeling of more solidity. Now, the other thing we noticed out on the highway, there's actually a low frequency little hum. Very low frequency, like almost subwoofer kind of rhythmic, you know, 1 hertz, 1 cycle per second. I don't think it's right, but again, it wasn't. Anyway, I don't know. It's just something I feel like I need to share. You know, once you got up to 80 miles per hour, it actually went away. Did not notice it. This has not been good on gas. I'm not saying anything that nobody doesn't already know. I was getting about 23 this week. But I've been driving it hard, been out on roads like this, having a good old time. It's got a small tank, so range is bad. We just had it on the highway. We just wrapped up taping that video. About 30 on the highway is what we experienced. So right in there to EPA numbers. And you go, well, yeah, maybe it's not good on gas, but when you think about what it's competing with, it's actually not bad.
So after a week, do I prefer driving the turbo after our NA sedan? Sure, who wouldn't? What I really like about this is the confidence and the substantial feeling that it has, and the all-wheel drive and turbo just work so well together with that 6-speed. I think this is just brilliant. I think it's brilliant in how it drives and really how it transforms just the everyday handling. That was the biggest surprise. And if your budget and the fuel economy and range doesn't bother you, absolutely, this is the one to get. It's hard to beat when you think about all the competition. At 38K for me, I'd have to take a really hard look at that Acura Integra manual. Again, I've never really liked, you know, it looks okay, so I'll just leave it there. Now, I do have a few nits with this. I think a power passenger seat should come at this price. Mazda should offer different colors on the carbon turbo. Wireless CarPlay and that bigger screen should be standard across the lineup. And, you know, I think I would say that just a little bit more sound deadening when you're thinking that this is a premium product. Some optional wheel choices, as I've already mentioned, but if you have the budget for this, you will have tons of driving enjoyment. And if you can't, and if you don't want to spend the money and you just want to stick with the non-turbo, again, it's not a slouch. 90% of the time it's going to be just fine. It's a great commuter car, and they're really equal out on the highway as far as comfort, interior vibe. As always, folks, please leave your questions and comments below. We do try to answer and get back to all of them. We really need to know what you think. And thanks for coming along today. We really appreciate that. And always remember to have a great day, morning or evening, wherever you may be.